Okay, banner review and overviews. Make sure make sure you do all your voting. Get your 30 crystals here. Well, yeah, 30 crystals here, and then you get another 15 when the results are announced. Don't forget to do this. I still need to do one round of dailies, and play the next part 3. Right, I still gotta play part 3. Starry Wishes. This is your top-up event for spenders, minnows, all the way through whales. I will probably do some small top-ups here. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these 3 option boxes. Maybe get S3 Equinox, even though that's not that necessary. Trial stage for Sele's new outfit. We'll go play that here in a bit. After banner review. Don't forget to play all the events here. There's a lot of time open for this, but just, you know, make sure you play it, you know. I still need to play the trial stage for this. There's 20 crystals here. Don't forget to play the tutorial. I'm gonna do that too after the banner review. Time capsule. Did we talk about this already? We did, right? Homu M is useful. Everything else is collection. You know, your paid shop stuff with the paid tickets. This one is B chips, so get what you like. Everything else is just kind of get what you like. One salty tuna you can use as a placeholder. Senescence you can use as a placeholder. They're not great, but they don't cost cubes to max out. So like if you're turbo early game, it's not terrible. And there's a demo stage for this. This only gives coin because it's a rerun. It's not the first time. And then everything else. What is this? Oh, this is one of those community caption events. I'm not gonna do all that. But wait, do I need to share something in this? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so just click the link, check it out. If you like it, cool. If you want to participate, great. If you don't want to do anything, then don't do anything. Banner review, what's new? Sele outfit, right? If you like it and you saved up for it, you know, give it a shot. If you're saving, like most of budget-minded players will be, we're gonna probably skip. I was originally like leaning towards pulling for this, but I think I'm gonna have to skip. From this option box, all 3 are pretty old, and all 3 are farmable now. Although Bright Knight is harder to farm than the other 2. If I were to pull on this banner, I would probably take the Bright Knight stamps. If you're a brand new player, they're all like... They all can be used in the early game, but they're not that useful for late game. Like, eventually you will want to farm them to double S for your Dorm buffs, but there's no urgency on it. It's just one of those, like, you'll slow farm it over time. And a lot of the modern SP battle suits just, you know, obsoleted these older S rank Valkyries. So I would just say, like, you know, if you're a brand new account, just pick whoever you like for collection. You know, if you've seen them in the story, you're like, oh, they're pretty cool in the story. I'm gonna do my free pull here. Ideally, I would get Ancient Willpower or maybe Asterite. There's a couple of other things that you want to pay attention to, right? The earliest that you can get the outfit is on the 5th pull. On the first pull, if you can get the outfit tickets, that's actually a W. If you can get really lucky and get your focus tickets from the first pull, that's also a W. Ancient Legacy is also good, and then Willpower would probably be the next best thing. Stamina Potions is whatever, right? Option Box is not terrible, especially if you need the SE medals, but it's not the greatest either. And then Asterite is like, alright, you can always use more Asterite, especially if you're early game. Let's see what we get. First pull is free, so don't forget to do your first pull. Stamina Potions, yeah, Stamina Potions are pretty common. So, no harm, no foul. Event supply. Griseo's still here for another, you know, week and a half, 2 weeks. Her gear as well. We've talked about that last week. This banner, Shixel Arsenal with Dr. May and the Star of Eden. So generally, when it comes to gear that's being rerun, you really need to pay attention and decide what your goals are with this game. If you want to be hyper competitive, going backwards is gonna, you can do it when stuff is rerun, but it's gonna be less cost efficient than when you pull for stuff on their first release. So who would be the ones that qualify for pulling for this stuff? Well, Star of Eden Anti-Entropy will hold some value because it's a divine key, which means that's a permanent plus 10 attack for your account no matter what. However, the guarantee weapon is Pandora's Box for Prometheus, not the Star of Eden Anti-Entropy. That puts this banner in a disadvantage. You could go 100, 200 pulls and not see a single Star of Eden, potentially. Because that has happened before on these types of Shixel arsenals. In some ways, these could be considered a scam banner because of that. Now, if you're rolling on this because your goal is to get physical shield break stuff for Prometheus, that is fine, but it will always be less cost efficient than when you're pulling for SP gear on a fresh release. No need for SS for the dorm rework. No, you still have to get certain S ranks ranked up. Because what ends up happening is that A rank only counts so far, and then S rank only counts so far. So like, even if you unlock certain S ranks, you still need to get certain ones ranked up to get the points that you need. Arguably, the last level or so you can skip. Just get to 44 and that's fine. But you just have more options as far as which ones you don't have to prioritize certain ones the way that you used to. You can rank up to double S whoever you want. So from that option box for the outfit, you don't have a priority set. You just pick whoever you like. Back to this banner. Does this one have a wishing well? So this one does have a wishing well if you previously pulled on the original release and you have 2 copies of one of the Dr. Mays. I don't really remember. Was one of these decent for standalone? Landing QTE increases physical, but this doesn't increase team damage, right? Ooh. BP standalone is okay-ish, right? Because it's team total damage. And then team physical on the BP. So if you can get BP standalone, great. And then M piece. So MB would be your 2-set ideal, and then 3-set's great too, because 3-set we use it quite a bit on HOS nowadays. HOS and Prometheus both use full set. But yeah, if you want to pull on this banner, you should be prepared to top up if you're planning on pulling on this banner. If you're not planning to top up, you should avoid this banner. Kronos is in the chat. Kronos got scammed like 3-4 times on these types of banners. Because like 2021 and 2022, he rolled on these types of banners trying to get the divine key that wasn't guaranteed. And he went like 100, 200 pulls each time. Didn't see a single divine key. Isn't that right, Kronos? Kronos is in the chat. He can verify. He's very salty. These banners give him traumatic memories. Let's speed run through the off rates. Echoes of Paradise, old meta, but decent placeholder. Key of Limpidity. Man, Hersher of Origin doesn't get used that often standalone, so it's like Key of Limpidity is whatever. You can kind of use it as a placeholder for sword characters, as you know, like if you're desperate. Not high priority. Star of Eden Anti-Entropy, if you can snipe it and you didn't have it before, excellent. Tower of the Past, you know, like hang on to one copy if you enjoy Vilby. If you don't care about Vilby, then Tower of the Past doesn't matter, right? You could toss it in a museum, or you could toss it in the gear shredder and get some weapon resonators back. Pandora's Box. This is what you're looking for if you are rolling on this banner, and it is the 50 pull guarantee. So Prometheus is quite good with alternative gear. And with fist weapons, there's actually quite a bit of alternative fist weapons that can be used if you have them. So, like, if your account is established and you have a bunch of, fist weapons just laying around, yeah, that'll be great. But Pandora's box, I don't know. It again depends on whether or not you're willing to top up for this banner. I feel like for most players that are F2P, this is not going to be a banner you're going to consider rolling on. This kind of banner is just for like medium dolphins all the way through Kraken. Maybe if you're trying to catch up and brute force catch up, it's expensive. Astral Ren White Dwarf, this is kind of obsolete now, but it's still a great placeholder scythe for generic all scythes. And then Midnight Eclipse, kind of fading out, still used on Equinox. If whenever Equinox gets a rerun boss rerun. They're all fine if it's like your first copy, right? You hang on to it because eventually you might get those characters in the future or something. But like if you don't have these characters, none of these weapons are priority at all. A lot of them are pretty old at this point. Stigmata, looking at the Stigmata list also hurts a bit, right? So Dr. May is what you're looking for. MB is great as a 2-set. 3-set is great too. Just powerful physical team, powerful shield breaking, and it does stack with Paganini. But very rarely will you be running both of those together. Very rarely. Not impossible, but like, it depends on your situation. Murata Himiko for Flame Scion. What is there to say about it? It's like a G3.5, but it's got like HP conditionals for the damage buff. So it's like Flame Scion, Kiana, and then like Vermilion Knight Himiko and Blood Rose. Blood Rose can also use this set. But at this point, this is a 2021 set. At this point, if you didn't already have it, it's not worth chasing for, especially in the off rates of another banner. Bastet, it's a bit niche, but it's also kind of flexible, right? Bastet you can use on Pardo and on Kira, kind of. Do you really need it? Not really. You can get by without it. There's alternatives. Cezanne is pretty good. Like, Cezanne B is great. Cezanne 2-set, TM, or MB, or 3-set. So Cezanne's probably one of the better ones out of this pool. But, if you really wanted Cezanne, you'd just roll on a Cezanne banner, right? I think there was one at the end of last patch or something. Flower of Origin, Elysia Pristine. Pristine is the Hersher one. You could just be using Ice G4, like, Pristine is great for Elysia. You can kind of use it on HOR2, Hersher form buffs and all that. It's not priority at this point. It's good to have if you have Elysia. If you're a Elysia super fan, I know there's a lot of players who started the game for Elysia, but don't roll on this banner if you can't afford to top up. This is a kind of a scam banner. Kronos is in the chat, man. Every time I see one of these and it's not the Divine Key. So when should you roll on the Shixel Arsenal? You should roll on a Shixel Arsenal when it's a new Divine Key and the Divine Key is the guaranteed one. That's generally when you want to roll on the Shixel Arsenal. When it's the non-Divine Key weapon that's the guaranteed one, that's a big red warning sign. That's a red flag. All right, so be careful. Be very, very careful. Mistalin is still here till next Friday. And then the gear has already shifted. Aladdin's pretty good. Aladdin on original release earlier this year, back in 6.6? 6.5. Back in 6.5, people were pulling 2 sets of Aladdin on release because M doesn't have an exclusive identifier on this buff. Which means that if you have 2 copies of Aladdin M, this first line, the team deals 10% more physical damage to bleeding enemies, will stack on itself, which is insane. And same thing, the B piece also doesn't have an exclusive marker on it. So, does the B piece stack too? Basically, it's a cracked set because it stacks on itself. MB stacks. And does the 2-set stack too? Or does the 2-set not stack? Yeah, so Aladdin, a lot of people were pulling 2 sets of Aladdin on original release. Because M and B stacks on itself and the 2P stacks on itself. So having 2 copies was just like, it was insane. It's insane. So for the people considering pulling this, you should either be like hyper competitive budget player, or you know, you could just afford the brute force this banner. If you're F2P, I would say, you know, if there's nothing else that you're pulling on this patch and you do want to build your physical team, Aladdin is a strong set. Susanna's great as a solo DPS, but you know, you can also use Aladdin as a support set as well. So this is definitely one of the better banners available in this current week. Let's see, Echoes of Paradise we talked about, right? Great generic support pistols. Crusher Bunny 19C, actually a decent support cannon, heavy weapon type, and it's second best in slot for Hersher of Truth. You know, mechanically it'll feel not as good as her signature weapon, but it gives the most team buffs for non-signature. Elysian Astra, pretty good cross. It's not as good as the new Anchor, but you know, we use this a lot too as a support cross. Miracle Kissy Pillow, still pretty strong as a fist weapon, and also can be used as a placeholder weapon on Prometheus if you're not rolling on the Scam banner. Shixel Scamsenal. And Whispers of the Past is the only weapon, oh, it's the only gacha piece that you need for original Elysia, Miss Pink Elf. Everything else is craftable. Is she really that good anymore? Like, if you have her fully built, okay, yeah, she's usable. Is Whispers of the Past priority at any point? Not anymore, it's pretty old. Chakrams, Twirling Glaze, and Lost Conviction. So Lost Conviction is Aponia's weapon. It's kind of a nuisance that they put an off-rate Chakram on this banner. But Twirling Glaze is pretty good for a Susanna. Wow, what are these off rates? So these are all really decent. Probably Ragna's probably the least useful one, even though it's like Ragna is probably also just standalone useful because it's just raw damage for fire type. So Aladdin we talked about. If you're rolling on this banner, you want Aladdin. Cezanne's still good, right? Cezanne B is like a better nuke B. Applies a damage taken debuff on the enemy. Ragna is like a fire G 3.5 with activation condition on charge attacks. Although I think T-Piece you can still get a buff on combo, but you know, Ragna TB with Thales M is also is already like 95% of what a Ragna 3 set does. So great for charge attack, fire attacks, charge attack, fire characters. This was originally Spina Astera's set, but usable on Spina Astera, Vermilion Knight. You can even use it on Siren. Because Siren is charge attack. Do I recommend that you use it on Siren? No. Just throwing it out there. You can use it there. You can actually use Ragna on Blood Rose too, and Ragna has healing. There's a bit of healing in the Ragna set, so we did that a few within the last 3 patches. We had that one run Blood Roads against one of the Abyss side stages where we used Ragna to self heal. Eternal Moon set for Jade Knight. This is actually a really nice set to have, like TB or 3 set. It's just really good for her. And then In the Name of Truth for Bronya, Hersher of Truth. You definitely want a 3 set for this for Hersher of Truth if you play a lot of elemental teams and you have your Hersher of Truth missing, you know, if you have your Hersher of Truth. And then the M piece is great standalone for any Bronya DPS, especially Silverwing. So this is pretty good banner. I'd probably give this an A rating, you know, focus A for actually good. This is pretty good, right? This is a pretty good rerun gear banner. But I would only roll, like, if you're F2P, I would only roll if you're really competitive minded and you have all the other pieces for a bleed team. You have all the other pieces for a physical team. If those conditions are not met, I would probably lean towards, you know, saving for next patch or saving for, you know, part 2 and 7.3. So those are kind of the conditions for F2P. If you're medium and up, you know, like, this would be a decent banner to try to get a dupe of if you already have one set. Maybe not so much duplicate weapons, but getting an extra set of MB could be good if you're, you know, trying to get more competitive. Focus B, ooh, speaking of Elysian Astra, right? So this would definitely not be as priority as Aladdin. This would be, I'm already gonna say, like, if Aladdin and Cezanne exist concurrently, I would just say roll for Aladdin, don't roll for Cezanne. That being said, Cezanne still has some nice standalone utility if you were to get this from off rates on another banner, like let's say from Focus A, right? Like, Cezanne exists in Focus A. Why would you pull for Cezanne directly? Why would you pull for Cezanne directly when you could just get it in Focus A? Yeah, that's a good point, Gio. Yeah, if you're F2P, you're better off rolling for Cosmic Expressions gear, even though Aladdin is still really good. That should be your priority. Get Cosmic Expression gear, and then Focus A would be good, and then Focus B exists, but don't roll here. Cezanne is not useless. It's still usable. Cezanne B is still quite good standalone, especially if you're trying to do like some wacky double S strats and stuff. M we still use every now and then because we want to what was it? Increased bleed trauma? Was that what it was? I forget specifically for M, but like T has a nice like team buff utility. So like TP standalone is alright, BP standalone is alright. You know, we run all sorts of variations of Cezanne 2 set if you don't have 2 sets of Aladdin. Just pull for new stuff. Yeah, exactly. New is better than old. Pull for new stuff. Cezanne is old, Aladdin is like medium old, and then Cosmic Expression is the new. So if you're whaling and you just want to collect, yeah, you know, get all 3, maybe all 3 in 2 sets of Aladdin if you can just brute force those banners. If you're not gonna brute force those banners, then just get Cosmic Expressions gear and move on, right? Just glancing at the weapons and the stigmata, it's all old stuff. Key of Castigation is super old, Falcon Flare is super old, Zither is super old, you know, Oblivion is super old, Path to Acheron's are extra old, and then Cerulean Flare was given out for free at one point. They're all old, they're all usable in some niche scenario. Do I recommend that you use them? No. Not at this point. If you whale, get Aladdin, Cezanne still not worth. No, if you whale, you want to have at least like 2 sets of Cezanne B just in case for some random wacky strat that comes up. Maybe not 2 sets, but at least 1 set. But that's only if you're like super whaling. Let's see here. Yeah, all the rest of the stuff, like we talked about Ragnar, we talked about the Blazing Legacy set. Bianca Theater is alright. It's like a G 3.5 for physical. Definitely, if you're playing Equinox, you're gonna want to have a set, but chances are you're not gonna get it from here. And then Ozlog, don't worry about Ozlog. There's better options nowadays, especially now that Turgenev is finally gonna be craftable soon. That about covers it. Just pull for new stuff. That's pretty much like the one rule of Honkai 3rd. Just pull for new stuff. Only go back for old stuff if you're gonna spend like big money. Isn't Ozlog craftable? No, Ozlog is not craftable yet. No, Ozlog is not craftable yet. But you can craft Irene TB, you can craft JST. But they're gonna make Turgenev craftable as a G3 ice, like in the next 2 patches. I think 7.3 was what Marissa posted. I haven't watched any videos, so it's just what people say. But yeah, once Turgenev is craftable, like it's over. It's over for elemental support. Margrave is craftable. Yeah. I don't know. The options exist for like for F2P entry level. I probably wouldn't overthink it. Just, I mean, okay, age-old advice from this channel, right? Decide what your end game goals are, because that's gonna inform your pulling strategy. If you don't care about meta, just pull what you like. But I will advise that, you know, generally pull for new stuff. Chances are, if you're true, you know, if you're a casual Honkai player and you just log in, do dailies, there's probably a lot of content you're not doing, right? Because you don't have time, or you're too busy, or you're just not interested in it. The gear matters less and less with that. And they're changing the way gear system works in the future too. So if you can't afford certain pieces of gear, don't worry about it. You know, all the gear will eventually become obsolete. So I just, you know, I wouldn't worry about it. That's pretty much banner review. Just save, I guess. Save, pull Van Gogh, pull CE gear. Don't pull this. You could get screwed over so bad on this. Alright, that's it. I'll see you next week.